All right, friends, today I'm going to show you a way that you can add so much soul, I mean so much soul, to the way that you play the bass. Somebody needs to add some like wah-wah guitars and some. Friends and neighbors, welcome back to the Brownstone. I'm glad you're here. Today we're talking about adding soul, I mean soul, to the way that you play. And I'm going to do so in a very specific way that uses the minor pentatonic scale. So let's get right to it. The first thing that we need to do is just map out the minor pentatonic scale on the fretboard. So I'm going to go down to A minor pentatonic. So I'm at the 5th fret of the E string. And if I have my 4-fret span, you know how much I love to use the old 4-fret span. I'm going on the E string, it's 1st finger to 4th finger. And then it's 1-3, 1-3 for the other 3 strings. And then I'm just going to add the 9th fret of the G string as my last note. So the minor pentatonic, it's a 5-note scale. So the first 5 notes are A to C, D to E, and then G. And then here, that's A again. So it starts over. So that's the minor pentatonic. So before we get into anything else, just run this pattern and get it under your fingers. We can move on. Now that you've got that minor pentatonic shape locked into the muscle memory, we can move on by adding one note. This is normally referred to as the blues scale. I don't really refer to it as that, but here it is. We're just going to add one note to the scale, and that note is going to be at the 6th fret of the A string. And if it's at the 6th fret of the A string, that means we can also add the octave of that note, which is going to be the 8th fret of the G string. This is the note D sharp or E flat, however you want to call it. But when we add that note, that's what we get. So that's known as the blues scale, but I want to use this in a bit of a different way. Now that we've added that note to the scale, here's how we can use it to our advantage. I'm going to use that E flat as a passing tone. Here's what I mean by that. When I play that note, I'm either going to slide up or slide down. So I'm not really thinking of that E flat, D sharp as a note of the scale. That's why I don't want to really refer to it as the blues scale, because that E flat is really just an effect. And I'll show you what I mean by that. When I play the minor pentatonic scale, that's the scale as it is. But we can add a little bit of ornamentation to that if we take that E flat, and before I play that next note, that E, I can slide into that E from a semitone below, which is the E flat. So this becomes this. Already there's a little bit more soul happening in the line, right? So this is great because we can take this through the entire shape and play it ascending and descending whenever we are going to play the notes D or the note E. We can slide in to either of those notes, whether we're ascending up to the E or descending down to the D, right? Both of these things are really going to affect the way that you play and add some beautiful ornamentation to your lines. So now if I just play the minor pentatonic scale with this added sort of inflection, the scale becomes more soulful immediately. I'll show you what I mean. play it again. And then I can do the same thing on the way down. Anytime I go to that note D, which is at the 7th fret of the G string and the 5th fret of the A string, I can slide back to play that note D. So I can play okay, so what did I do there? I changed the position of that second note. That second note at the 8th fret of the E string is a C. That C, as you already know, is located at the 3rd fret of the A string. Which means I can also play the pattern that way. If I want to keep that C at the 8th fret of the E string, then I can do what's called a pull-off. So that's playing the note and then pulling your finger off immediately while you fret that D at the 5th fret. So I'm fretting 2 notes. I'm fretting the 6th fret and the 5th fret so that when I play the 6th fret, I can pull my finger off the string and then the D is there and heard clearly. So this is cool because we can now practice the minor pentatonic scale and add this inflection to the scale. Now the cool thing about when I get to the top of this pattern, then I can slide up to the E there and then slide right back to the D. So the pattern now has this sort of sound to it. Check it out. Now that's one way to practice the scale. Another way that you can practice the scale is by taking out the E or the D, depending on which way you're moving through the scale. Watch this. If I play those first 2 notes and skip the 5th fret, skip that D and go straight to the 6th fret to slide into E, I get a different effect. Watch this. And then I can do the same thing here. So I'm playing the minor pentatonic scale, but I've taken out the note D, right? So and then on the way down, I can take out the note E and just play those slides going back into D. So you can hear that these are very sort of typical bluesy, sort of soulful licks that you can then play and add to whatever groove that you might be doing. So what we're going to do is we're going to play the same thing. I've got a nice little jazz swing sort of groove happening in the drum pedal known as the beat buddy that I like to call Anna 2. And we're just going to play that same pattern that I just demonstrated and put it through the scale over top of this groove. And I would invite you to play along. I have Anna 2 here set to 100 BPM. If this tempo is too fast, then go back to the little demonstration of the line, try to work with that and take it at your own pace. Once that phrase becomes comfortable to you, then I invite you to play along. Here's the pattern. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. So you can see I'm playing this pattern in two different ways because I'm using the C at the 8th fret of the E string, and I'm also using the C at the 3rd fret of the A string, right? And the other pattern. And that's the pattern, friends and neighbors. Have fun with this. Work on it. The more you work on it, the more you will find your own ways to interpret this pattern. And this is the beauty of working on these new things. You discover your own ways to play them, and then those become unique to you. And then all of a sudden, you are finding your voice, your unique voice on the instrument. That is the beauty of any exercise. Whenever you play through any idea, ask yourself questions. Make sure you're going, ooh, that sounds cool. What if I tried it this way? What if I changed this note? What if I added this rhythm? Everything that you do is working towards your own unique sound. So I suggest that you work on that with all of that information in mind. And that is that, my beautiful friends and neighbors. Hey, listen, if you like this video, you know what to do. Like, share, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. There are a number of ways that you can donate to the channel, join or donate. I will leave links in the description box below. And of course, all of the above is greatly appreciated. And again, I say it all the time, but have fun with this stuff. And I thank you for visiting me once again here in the Brownstone, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video soon. Peace.